Hey everyone, welcome to the complete beginner's guide to the COROS APEX 2 and APEX 2 Pro. This is Colin with Connect the Watts, and this video is brought to you by Melin. You can learn more about their premium hats built for performance later on. Starting with the front of the APEX 2, we have 3 buttons on the side. The top button is the backlight button, so you can press that to turn the backlight on and off, and this button can also be set as a custom shortcut for when you hold it. The large center button is also a digital scroll wheel, which allows you to easily navigate up and down throughout the watch, and if you press it from the home screen, it'll take you to the workout selection page where you can select and begin your workout. Finally, we have an additional button at the bottom, which if you press on the home screen, it'll cycle through various metrics you can have displayed. If you hold it from here, it'll take you to the widget selection page. It also works as a general back button when you're changing settings or adjusting anything on the watch. Now, if we go up and down on the home page, either with the scroll button or we can do this via the touch screen, you can check out a variety of measurements and metrics being tracked by the COROS APEX 2. Everything from the calories that you're burned to the amount of exercise or steps you did throughout the day, to also the performance of your recent workouts, your current training and recovery status, your heart rate, your sleep, and more. And a lot of these have additional information to view if you select them. For example, if you click on sleep, it'll show you the current time you spent awake, in REM, and light, and deep sleep. And some of these, when selected, allow you to go back and see data from the past 6 to 12 hours, depending on the settings you have selected. So for example, if we want to see our heart rate beats per minute, we can click on that and scroll back to see what our heart rate was at various points throughout the day. All the information that you see here is referred to as the daily data, and what you see here can be adjusted via the app. To do this, go to the app, click on the bottom right-hand side icon of a watch, then select Customization and go to Daily Data. And from here, you can remove or add daily data to display, and you can move this data to whichever order that you would prefer to see it. Now, going back to the watch, let's check out the various widgets, or what COROS calls the toolbox. And again, to get here, you'll need to hold the bottom button. So starting with watch face, you can choose to select one of 5 watch faces that you have downloaded to the watch, and once selected, you can change the color of the watch face. Now, if you want more watch faces to choose from, again, go to the app and make sure you select the button on the bottom right, and from here, click on watch face, and here you'll be able to see a much wider selection of watch faces to choose from. Simply click on that and choose which one of the watch faces you want it to replace and add it to your watch from here. So next we have night mode, and what night mode does if you have it on is that during your workout, it'll keep the backlight displayed at all times. If you don't have night mode on, the display will still light up if it's at nighttime and you orient the watch towards you, but the backlight turning on isn't always super consistent, and sometimes you just want it to stay on the entire time, even though it will cost a bit more battery. So again, the night mode will allow that backlight to stay on for the entire duration of your workout. Next we have system, and this is going to be a lot of additional settings that we can adjust, so let's go check those out now. First off, we have do not disturb, so if you don't want your watch to get any kind of notifications from your phone, you can turn that off here. We have activity interface, and here you can choose to change what your watch looks like when you're doing a workout. So typically the background color of the watch is set to white during an activity. Auto scroll is turned off. If you have it on, it'll scroll through the various metrics pages that you have set up, and you can choose to have message and call alerts turned on or off during your workouts. Next, we have pair phone, which if you set up the COROS watch through your phone, you don't need to do as it's already set up. Then we have sensors, and we have the optical heart rate sensor, and here you can change how often your heart rate is tracked throughout the day when you're not doing an activity. So for daily heart rate, your heart rate is tracked once every 10 minutes. During a workout, your heart rate is monitored every 1 second. But if you want to have your heart rate monitored every second throughout the day, although be warned that this will take up a lot more battery. You can also choose to adjust the activity heart rate here by turning it on or off. I definitely suggest leaving it on, as this again will allow your heart rate to be tracked once every second during your workouts. Next, we have the barometer sensor, which can sense pressure, and you can change the data source from sea level pressure to station pressure if you prefer, as well as adjust the display range from 6 to 12 or even 18 hours if you want to be able to look back on the watch through that data. You can also change the pressure units, add a storm alert, and here at the bottom is information on how to read this as well. And next we have calibration, which will allow you to calibrate your elevation, your compass, and your thermometer. Your elevation, for example, will be automatically adjusted every time you use a workout with GPS mode on. But if you haven't worked out in quite a while with GPS on, the elevation number can get off as it's affected by a variety of other sources. So if you want to be able to calibrate it without starting a GPS workout, you can simply do that here by turning on the GPS or entering the elevation manually. Here you can also calibrate your compass and thermometer. Now going back, let's scroll down to accessories, and this is where you'll be able to add or see any accessories that you have added to the watch via Bluetooth, like headphones, additional heart rate straps, or foot pods like the COROS Pod 2. Under Wi-Fi, you can add your Wi-Fi network to the watch, so it'll be able to download updates more quickly. The music option allows you to add headphones or choose a headphone you already have paired to the COROS APEX 2 or begin playing any music you have downloaded. And we're going to go over later on in the video how to add music to this watch. And then we have more settings, which here you can change the language. This is another area you can change the watch face or the theme color. You can adjust the backlight from auto to all day or have off. And again, what this means is that the backlight will turn on if you rotate the watch towards you during those hours, or you can choose to have the backlight turn on when the watch is pointed towards you all day, or just leave it off. Here you can also adjust which wrist you'll be having the watch on, as well as which side the digital dial is going to be. And sometimes you may want to play with this, as especially during strength workouts, I typically like to have the dial location away from my wrist, as when you're lifting a lot of weights and your wrist is being forced back, sometimes you'll end up hitting this digital dial. So something you may want to play with. And here you can also choose to adjust the dial rotation. Now here is the light key shortcut. So if you select this, we can choose the shortcut that happens if you hold this top light key. And you can choose a variety of functions here. And for me, I typically keep it on stopwatch, as that's a feature I use all the time. And so it's nice to have a button that just takes me right there. Next, we have vibrations. So we can turn the watch vibrations on or off. We can also adjust the tones. So if you want the watch to make sound instead of vibrations, you can turn and adjust that here. The touchscreen you can leave on as always, or map only. And for me, I don't really like using the touchscreen outside of the maps, although I do find it useful on occasion during workouts to quickly swipe up or down to look at various metric pages. Next, we have auto lock, which locks the watch so it prevents you from adjusting any of the settings or starting or finishing a workout by accident. And so here you can adjust it both for the regular standby mode and for activity mode. I have it set for hold to unlock, so I have to hold this button to unlock the watch. But if you prefer to scroll to unlock, you can select that, or you can turn it off altogether. And you can adjust the same thing for activity mode for when you're doing a workout. Next, we have units, which can be adjusted between imperial and metric. We can adjust the date and time if you would like to, although it will stay accurate as long as you pair it with your phone every so often. Under satellite systems, our options will be different whether we have the Apex 2 or the Apex 2 Pro. If we have the Apex 2, we can choose to have a standard GPS or all systems on. And all systems on allows for just a little bit more accuracy. So if I'm not super concerned about battery life, I'll typically leave all systems on. And for the Apex 2 Pro, you'll also have the option to choose dual frequency. And this allows the watch to receive 2 frequencies of the GPS at once, which helps improve the accuracy, especially if you're running next to tall buildings or next to cliffs. And again, this will have a massive impact on battery, but if you chose the Apex 2 Pro, this is probably one of the reasons you got it, is for this improved GPS accuracy. So I highly suggest you usually keep it on. You can also check out the map from here, but we'll look at that more later. You can select to have altitude alerts on or off. You can reset all the settings back to the way they came. And finally, at the bottom is where we have the ability to turn the COROS APEX 2 watch off. So to add music to the COROS watch, you'll need to plug it into your computer. Before we get into that, let me quickly tell you about today's sponsor, Melin. As you can probably tell with many of my videos, not only do I frequently wear hats, but my hats tend to look pretty nasty after just a short period of time because I like to work out in them as well. Luckily, a friend of mine recently got me to try out some Melin hats, and I'd have to say that these hats have stood the test. I've been wearing them for almost all of my workouts, many of which with the GoPro attached onto them, and they still look as good as the day I got them. The difference in quality between this hat and my others is night and day. And while they cost more, personally, I think if you're somebody who is active, it's well worth it. And Melin has agreed for a limited time to offer 20% off if you go to melin.com/CTW. You can learn more about Melin in the link I've placed in the description below. So to add music to the COROS watch, you'll need to plug it into your computer with the USB attachment that is included. And once you plug it in, you'll see two locations open up, one called log files and then the other called the Apex 2 or Apex 2 Pro. And so if you select Apex 2 or Apex 2 Pro, you'll see the folder for music. And in here, you can create additional folders and add various music or podcasts or whatever MP3s that you would like. But the big key here is that they must be downloaded MP3s. So anything that you download from Spotify or any other service won't work. And while that is unfortunately the case right now, COROS has said that the Apex 2 and 2 Pro are designed to be able to work with additional music providers, and hopefully updates that will allow this will be coming in 2023. But again, for now, you will need to rely on downloaded MP3s, which you can place in that music folder. All right, so next we have camera control, which will allow you to connect the watch to a GoPro or Insta360 cameras. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to get this to work, but let me know in comments if you've been able to. And next we have Wi-Fi sync, which is just another way to select the Wi-Fi you would like the watch to be connected to. Then we have Find My Phone. So if you have the app opened up on your phone, the COROS watch will be able to send an alert to your phones, and so it can make some sounds so you can more easily find it. And this also works on the app as well, where you can select Find My Watch, and the watch will make a sound to help you find it. Next, we have Do Not Disturb, which if you have on will turn off all notifications. We have Broadcast Heart Rate, which will allow you to broadcast your heart rate via Bluetooth to any additional devices. So if you're running on a treadmill or an indoor bike and you want to be able to display your heart rate on the screen, if you had Broadcast Heart Rate on, you'll be able to do that for the duration of your workout. We have an oximeter if you want to go ahead and check your blood oxygen levels, an HRV test, and this is something you'll want to do in the mornings when you first wake up before you get up if you want to check the status of your heart rate variability. The Apex 2 won't automatically do this overnight like some other watches, so if you want to have this data, you will need to do it manually through here every morning. Next, we have battery usage, which will tell you how much battery percentage you have remaining, as well as break down an estimate of how many days you have left or how many hours of GPS use are left. Next, there's a metronome, there's Ultra Max mode, and what this does is pretty much a big battery saver for GPS mode if you're doing, let's say, a long hike and you want your battery to be as efficient as possible. Well, if you turn this mode on, what the watch does is it'll alternate between having GPS mode on and off, which is going to be less accurate, but if you're going for a long walk or hike, it's certainly going to be accurate enough, and again, will extend the battery life quite a bit. Next, we have navigation, which will show you any courses that you have uploaded onto the watch, and you have map and map settings. Now, if you have the Apex 2 Pro, the basic map will already be downloaded onto this, but if you have the regular Apex 2, you're going to need to download and install the map based on your area. But even if you do have the Apex 2 Pro, you'll probably still want to do this as well, because if we go to map settings, for example, you'll be able to see the map style selection, and you can choose to have landscape, a topo map, or a hybrid. And I personally prefer hybrid, which combines both the topo and landscape map, but the Apex 2 Pro only has the landscape map pre-installed onto it, so you'll need to download the topo map as well. And so let's go ahead and go over how to download maps onto the COROS Apex 2. So first, you'll need to go to coros.com/maps, and here you'll be able to select your region. So go to the map and find the area that you want, then hold Shift and drag your cursor and mouse over your desired area. And here you can choose to download the landscape map and the topo map. Now, again, if you have the Apex 2 Pro, the landscape map is already installed, so you don't need to download that, but you will want to download the topo map. And if you have the regular Apex 2, you'll want to download and install both. Once these are downloaded as zip files, you'll want to select them and unzip them. Then make sure that your COROS watch is plugged into the computer via the USB charging cable that came with it. And again, select Apex 2 or Apex 2 Pro to open the directory of your watch. Now here, at least on a Mac, you'll want to go ahead and hold that Option key while dragging the downloaded map folder into that root directory. And if you're taking both the landscape and the topos map, you'll need to do this twice. Once this is done, you can eject the COROS watch from your computer, and you'll now be able to see this reflected and updated when you choose maps. Okay, so next up, once that's done, we have save location, which will allow you to pretty much make a waypoint of where you currently are at. So you can use that later as a reminder if you want to navigate back to it in the future. Then we have satellite signal, which will just simply allow you to connect to the GPS to see if you have a strong signal. And then we have a stopwatch, a timer, and an alarm clock if you want to use any of those. And so now that we've ran through all the settings and the widgets and the daily features, let's go ahead and check out the activities. So again, you're going to want to press the middle scroll wheel button, and this will take you to a variety of activities that you can choose from. Now, you're going to find a ton of activities that are available here, but if you want to limit this to just the activities that you'll be using, you can do that on the app. Again, you're going to want to go to the bottom right corner symbol, hit customization, and then select activity menu. Here you can choose to remove any activities that you don't want to see on the watch, as well as change their order. And each of these modes have slightly different features that you can go through, and we're not going to go through all of them, but we'll just take a quick look at a few. So if we select run, you'll be able to see that it's connecting to the GPS, and that'll light up once it's fully connected. And we could start, we can create a basic interval workout, or we can adjust settings like adding a course via navigation if we have one uploaded that we would like to do. We could adjust our activity alert, so you can change the distance and frequency that your watch will give you updates. You can also turn auto pause on and off. What auto pause does is it will stop your workout if you stop running, and it'll resume it if you begin again. Looking at track run, for example, you can choose which lane of the track that you'll be running in, and this will help dial in the accuracy of that GPS quite a bit. And again, each of these will have a variety of settings that will make sense for that particular activity. Now let's check out a little bit more of what you can do via the app. So on the front page, this is going to be your daily activity page. So it'll give you a broad overview of any workouts you did and your total exercise time, your sleep, and so forth. And you can click on really any of these to see more details and be able to sort of scroll through and see the exact data that you'd like to find. The next tab over will show you all of the workouts that you have recorded. And here you'll be able to see a map of your route, your total activity time, your average pace, your average effort pace. And I really like to look at this average effort pace as it not only takes into consideration your actual pace, but also the elevation that you were running on, as well as a variety of other factors. And they continue to be updating this to give you a more accurate sense about how much effort that pace actually feels like at any given time and overall throughout that workout. In this graph, you can kind of visually see the difference between your pace and your effort pace, and they're going to look pretty similar if you're running on a flat course, but if you're doing a lot of trail running or dealing with any sort of elevation, the differences between these two will be much more obvious. Another nice tool here is if you select any of this information, it'll take you to a full screen version of it where you can add additional metrics to see how they compare. So if you want to compare your cadence with your pace, for example, you can see more directly how one affects the other. Next up, if we click on the shield, it'll show you a variety of factors for the COROS Evo Lab about your marathon level, your VO2 max, your resting heart rate, your recent running performance, threshold pace, and a variety of other useful information to look at. Now, if we scroll down, we can click Race Predictor to see an estimate of how well we would do at various race distances. You can click on Workouts to see which workouts you have created or uploaded here. There's a training calendar, which you can use to create a workout schedule, and the navigation routes library, you'll be able to see all the various routes that you can add to your watch. And if you have this connected to a third-party app like Strava, it'll pull all of your navigation routes that you have available and set up there. And finally, as we did several times throughout this video, if you click the bottom right, you'll be able to make customizations to the watch itself. And while we already went over much of the customization for the activity menu, the daily data, and the toolbox, here's also where you'll be able to customize the activity data for each of the workout types. So if you select run, for example, you can adjust up to 6 metric screens with both the exact layout and how much data you want to see on that screen, and be able to pick and choose exactly what data you would like to see and in which order. Here under My Route is also where you'll be able to import routes into the watch directly, because remember, we have all of those routes to choose from available on the app, but not all of them are going to be available on the watch. And in fact, you can only have 10 routes available on the watch at any one time. So just click this, click Import from Library, and then select and choose any routes you would like to see added. And there you have it. That finishes off our complete beginner's guide for the Apex 2 and Apex 2 Pro. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments, as we'd be more than happy to help. And make sure to click here to check out our full review and comparison of the Apex 2, Apex 2 Pro, as well as the COROS Pod 2. Again, this is Colin with Connect the Watts. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.